Hey, what is going on, YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And guys, in today's video, we are going over the Research Bureau, the ultimate Bureau guide, all in one place, and tips and tricks on how to progress your Bureau projects faster and how to run multiple Bureau projects at the same time. Now, the quick and dirty of the Research Bureau is it was a good implementation into the game until Wargaming got their hands on it, and of course they made a little bit of it pay to progress faster. There are certain projects in which you can utilize doubloons to progress the ships faster. However, for the most part, you will have to wait a minimum of 30 days for most ships. Now, there are different projects, ships of all different tiers and classes, but for the most part, this is a way to get legendary ships into the game, with the exception of the Stalingrad and, of course, any campaign ship that is legendary tier. So what you want to do is go into the Bureau, and I will be doing a separate video on my personal Bureau picks, but in the meantime, we have two projects running, and the way to get two projects running right off the bat is to have premium time, okay? Now, of course, again, every step up is just more ways for Wargaming to get you to spend money, but if you don't have premium time, go ahead and select the ship or project that you want. Certain projects just give you camo and different things like that, but and sometimes, for example, the Vermont and a few others, if you go into the store, you will have to purchase as you can see here, you will have to purchase either the Vermont, whatever ship you are getting, either for doubloons or silver in certain circumstances. Some Bureau projects are absolutely free with no gates, and we will talk about that a little bit later, and some you will have to get in the store. Usually with newer ships, Wargaming will announce what ships you will have to get, via silver, doubloons, etc. But just be on the lookout for other ships that are free. The Yamato, the Alaska, the Kurfürst, basically the Shima, excuse me, a lot of the new ships. Well, before that, actually, you will have to do an introduction to the Bureau, which is just a quick example on how to basically utilize the Bureau, but we're going to talk about that in this video. So we just activated our Vermont. Let's go ahead and, I'm sorry, I didn't activate it because we have two projects running. So if you have a project running, before you can activate another one, you will have to deselect one of those. But let's go ahead and stop the Venezia project here and move on to the second stage of this project. Now, I've already progressed this project a little bit, so imagine this is what it's going to look like when it's new. Okay, you will have patrons here, which are commanders, and as you can see, I actually don't have Stefan or Steven Makarov. Stepan, I'm forgetting an H in Russia there. So in order to have, obviously if I didn't have him upgraded, I would select these two guys. And as you can see, the research bar is now progressing a lot faster. It says at the bottom there, progress in 24 hours. Also, make sure that you are logging in every 24 hours. I actually just downloaded the mobile version, and you have to download like the full version in order to get access to your Bureau. But I know a few, a few of my guys out there, Toy and a few others, travel a lot for work. So if you download that mobile version, this should not be an issue. And again, it's just Wargaming getting you to log in for to get to be on their product at all times. But we know that, and we're playing their game. So here, the next part is selecting ships. Now, you don't have to play these ships. I was a little confused at this when I first opened the Bureau. Just having these ships unlocked allows you to progress your Bureau even faster. And of course, you can see that the premium West Virginia here gets us an extra, research point per second. So if you have that ship, of course, make sure to select that. And here, the next part is actually the ships you're going to use. These are the daily trials. So for me, I like the New Mexico, and as you can see, the West Virginia, of course, gives us that little bit more. And then here is kind of, anytime you can pick, tier 6 or a whole class or a whole tier of ships, just go ahead and select that one, because you might not remember to do your daily project, and if you play a tier 6, it fulfills that requirement. Now, these can be done in AI, I believe the new arcade mode, so play standard if you want, but if you're trying to get stuff done, just go ahead and AI and don't lose. But as you can see, now that we have unlocked all of that, you can see that our progress bar has jumped significantly than to what it was when we first opened this project. Now, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move on over to my Venezia and select this project, because a new requirement that Wargaming added to certain, mainly the newer ships, is these little checkpoints or gates. And I think this is a fantastic idea because we have some true just knuckleheads at legendary tier, and they don't have the Mutsuki unlocked, and they have a Shimakaze. Now, I get it, some people don't want to buy the ships, and the tier 8s are certainly expensive, but if you don't have the tier 6s and 7s, and even the tier 8s, you're not going to know how to play the highest tier of that ship at legendary tier, right? So, as you guys can see here, there are checkpoints, and for this one, it's the Zara, I believe, and then we have the Amalfi, and that is what I am at right now, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. I would go into AI, get a win, and that would progress me on to the next checkpoint, okay? Now, if you do all of your daily trials and you have these active all the time, I think it takes about 6 weeks. My numbers are going to be way off on this. However, there is a way to progress your bureau even faster, and we're going to show you how to do that right now. As you can see, we are on stage 11, 5 of 5 here with the Z52, and we have this little button down here that says Breakthrough, okay? So we're going to go ahead and click it, and we have two options here, okay? We can utilize doubloons, which I think, personally, this is one of the worst utilizations of doubloons in the game. I have done it for the Alaska, for the Des Moines. For many projects, I have boosted through this. Now, something to note, you can only boost through, I think it's 40% of a project or 40% of a certain stage, okay? So for anyone, like when I get the ship given to me or in a rental form on release, if Wargaming decides to give it to me, people are like, yeah, how much you paid for that shit, man? And I'm just laugh at them because it's like, you don't know how the bureau works. You can't buy the ship outright. But if you decide to buy it outright or utilize research points, I say buy it outright. If you decide to utilize doubloons or research points, I think you can get it in about 4 to 5 weeks. So that is the quickest. And again, I think it's the Bureau, as we all know, if you've been here for long enough, is a terrible system. It's just a small little way for Wargaming to get more doubloons for certain players who are going to pay those doubloons to get the ship faster. I think all of these legendary ships... Now, I like the concept of the Bureau for unique projects, like the USS California was a Bureau project back in the day, and there were certain other ones. But we haven't really had a cool one like that in a long time. And something also to note on the topic of the California, they actually removed that from the Bureau. However, and there is some caveats and exceptions to this, once you start a project that does not have a time limit, it stays in your bureau forever. So now that I've started the Z52 and there's no time limit that it says on here, this will, even if I don't complete it right now, this will stay in my bureau forever. So I think I actually have a viewer or somebody who said that they started the California and they just haven't completed it yet. So the California Bureau was removed, I think, like 2 years ago. So if you want a certain ship, but you don't, you're working on other things, just start it, and that's going to bring me into one of my final points here, and a tip and trick on how to progress multiple ships at the same time, after we show you guys how to kind of boost through this stage, okay? But here you can see we have another way to boost through, research points, as we talked about, and you usually get these with campaigns, and I'm not exactly sure if there's any other ways to get them, but I do know you get them in the campaign, so getting the Admiralty backing is always a good idea. Again, more ways for more Wargaming to just cha-ching Mr. Krabs money. But we're going to go ahead and add some research point or utilize those research points. And as you can see, that boosted us on a little bit here further than we were. And just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and boost. Again, I wouldn't recommend utilizing doubloons, but now we have, as you can see, and usually this pops up on your screen, so if you haven't logged on for a while, you see this, go ahead and click A, and now we are on the final stage for the Z52, and as you can see, we now have to select all of the patrons, fleet, and etc. So as you can see, we only have 2 of these commanders, so we're going to go ahead and make sure we select them, and again, you can see the progress bar going faster and faster every time we select those ships. And here they have the option with the Z44 and of course the Odin. We do have those ships, so we're going to select them. And again, anytime you can choose an entire tier of ships or the one that gives you more research points, you should do so. And then here we're just going to choose the Schultz because I like it. And again, going into AI, winning these would add, you can see the little pluses there at the beginning of the screen. If we were to do that, we would get those additional research points, 125 or 350,000 additional research points from completing those daily trials. So that is kind of the complete overview of the Bureau. And as we mentioned, if you have premium time, go ahead and activate a second project that, as I will show you guys here as we try to activate it, you can see that we have the Venezia going and the Z52 is active with premium. But, and you can even do this without premium time, if you do what I just did, let's say, for example, I selected those projects with the Z52, and then we completed the daily tasks, right? And then we go ahead and switch on over to the Vermont. The Vermont project is active, right? It is active now, so let's go ahead and select these, at least while we're doing it, right? Do I have the... Oh, I have the West Virginia, so make sure you select that. And then select all of these trials, or the trials you want to, whichever ones you want to do. Go do them, right? Hypothetically, let's say we go into AI, we do all 3 of these, okay? Then go back and select whichever project you want to continue. So that way you are progressing multiple projects at the same time. Now, for me, I just really have reached a point in this game, right? I don't really care that much. So my bureaus have kind of taken a back seat for just me not completing them. But again, make sure you look at the checkpointed ships. You can kind of go ahead and progress here, and as you can see, you will need the tier 8s for most of the newer ships in order to get past those gate stages. Now, like we mentioned, for a few of the older ships, let's go to the archive here. The Yamato, the Kurfürst, the Shima, I think the Des Moines, I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, it says complete. And a few others, there are no checkpoints. Again, why Wargaming decided that was a good idea, because there was a question, and if this player watches my channel, we're not meaning to shame or anything, but he said, what's the best build for Shima? I only have the Mutsuki. Meaning he only had the tier 4 of the Japanese destroyers, the torpedo line, yet he has the highest tier. So, again, it's very rare that players are going to get these ships without really having anything, but somebody did it where it takes you like a couple months to not, if you're a very, very new player with limited ships, and you could get a legendary tier ship. So just a terrible implementation into the game. A good idea, but again, once Wargaming got a hold of it, they just kind of messed it up. But here is a good list. There's actually we are approaching a point in time in the game where there's actually a decent amount of legendary ships in the game to create a balance at legendary tier. For such a long time, it was so battleship heavy. We're slowly getting the cruisers, strong destroyers, and then it's just, honestly, it's been a mess. But I enjoy it. I really enjoy this game, so I wanted to provide these tips to you guys, especially the newer players. If you're a newer player, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And also let me know if you guys want me to do a top 5 or a top 3 or a video of the ships I would choose right now if I were to go back and kind of start over, or even just give a recommendation of ships to choose in World of Warships Legends. And here, as we were talking about, those are just different projects that we've completed along the way. For example, this one, I don't know, it's not going to show us, but it gave us camos for different ships, as well as the Oklahoma here. But that is that for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys found it informative. Go out, get your bureau active, download the mobile version as Wargaming wants us to do, so that way if you're traveling or whatever, you can log in, do your bureau, and have a nice day. And I hope that you guys take advantage of those tips and tricks. Make sure you utilize your research points. There is actually a max limit on research points. I think Tactic Angel maxed his out. So once you get, as you can see here, 5 million, make sure you utilize those. But anyway, that's the video. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening, morning, whenever you're viewing this video. Aaron out. Peace.